Hey guys, I am Chandra from getportal.co and you are watching Breaking Bitcoin.
Welcome back to Breaking Bitcoin, your daily source for everything cryptocurrency markets and personal finance. Hopefully everyone is doing fantastic today. Today is Thursday. It is a beautiful day in the markets, and currently where I am, early Christmas miracle. Christmas in June sometimes. Hopefully you're doing fantastic wherever you are and however you're tuning into the show today. We've got so much to talk about. We're going to be talking about the Bancor DEX hack. We're going to be talking about current price action and predictions moving into the weekend. We're going to be talking about the stock market. We're going to be talking about SARS-CoV-2. We're going to be talking about, it's endless. Mainly we're going to be talking about Trump and cryptocurrency. Yeah, so get your popcorn ready. Before we begin, today's show is, as always, brought to you by the Cracking Crypotcurrency Premium Trading Group. There has never been a better time to learn how to navigate the financial markets, regardless of the market of your interest, and build an objective trading strategy. You can join our community of professional traders and learn how to build that strategy for yourselves and stop relying on crypto Twitter or TradingView charts or ideas from Telegram if you're tired of trading with your gut or watching poor discipline and trade management sap away your progress. Make the change and join us at premium.crackingcryptocurrency.com. Links are down in the description, as well as to anything else you might need in life. All right. So, kind of the big narrative moving into the weekend, and what I'm, going to be personally considering, right, is we've had this very interesting arc of the financial markets where obviously the coronavirus pandemic hit the shores and, everybody freaked out and we saw the effects that it had and the markets collapsed. We saw them, to most individuals' kind of viewpoint, miraculously move back to the upside, which is kind of an interesting philosophical conversation, right? Because the markets have risen despite what I would say is everybody's common sense, right? Let's put it that way. So you have a massive market sell-off, and nobody is really concerned about that. That makes sense to everybody. They're like, businesses shut down, and individuals became unemployed, and unemployment skyrocketed, and we saw this massive deflationary event where capital made a mass exodus out of the markets, and individuals' desire to hold cash, which always happens in times of calamity and panic and chaos. So all of this is not controversial. All of this made sense. But then something interesting happened, and the markets bottomed out and then started to rise, and the most miraculous market recovery that we've seen in a very, very, very long time. And this is across the board: traditional equities, commodities to a less extent, but it just depends. Oil, for example, has had its roller coaster, and cryptocurrency in general. So this, for most individuals, particularly in the Bitcoin community or in the cryptocurrency community, leads to these massive allegations of market manipulation. And this is all the Fed printing money. And these are unintelligent retail investors coming in and buying these shares of bankrupt companies, and they're going to be out. And all of that might be true. But it is kind of an interesting narrative when you're a trend following trader like myself. When you just take a step back and you have this firm conviction that price and only current price dictate the current direction of the market. In my time as a trader, I have seen individuals be wrong in their convictions, myself included, over and over and over and over again, regarding your subjective interpretation of where the markets should move based on whatever piece of news has lodged itself into your cranium. So I just want to point that narrative out there. I think Alex has done a fantastic job on this, of communicating this and doing a lot of analysis about this in the group, where he has talked about the idea that this is a basic fundamental concept in the markets, that the markets can remain irrational longer than you can remain solvent. And as I said yesterday, this is a very dangerous area of the market to have a strong directional bias. It is far better to understand where there are risky areas of the market, where one should have lack of exposure, particularly to the long side, although I am biased to the long side in Bitcoin at least, and wait for that confirmation from your objective system. And as I kind of broke down, if the system that you are utilizing to trade has received greater than 10 fake out buy or sell signals over the last, let's say, 2-month period, particularly in Bitcoin, I would argue that your system is too sensitive. So we broke down the Donchian system that I have displayed for individuals, and it has generated basically no signals over the last few months, and for very good reason, right? It caught the three big movements to the upside, was able to get out of those at near the top. You never sell the top. You never get out. You never get out of a long at the top. You never get out of a short at the bottom, but you would like to get out relatively close. And it did that successfully. And we have been in this area where there's just not a lot of momentum to take a position. So we broke that down yesterday. We looked at that. That narrative is going to continue moving forward into today. However, if we want to talk about fundamental biases, this is an area where you have to begin to navigate to what side of the fence that you're going to be on if you desire to take some sort of fundamental position. And I think the two big fundamental positions that you can take and tack on are this. Remember, this is going to apply to basically all the markets. So I'm basically talking about your exposure in traditional equities, let's say the SPY, ETFs, and individual stocks, and your exposure in Bitcoin, which I assume will be highly correlated for the next large market move to the upside or to the downside in the short term. I do think that in a deflationary event, if the markets collapse here and tank, and I'll go into the reason why this would happen here in just a second, if that were to happen, I do think that Bitcoin will follow the S&P 500 down, and that is going to generate, that is going to be the next leg in what is an ongoing currency crisis. So it is when individuals lose faith in a currency and they begin to move into hard assets, which we haven't really seen yet. We've seen the kind of the pre-pump. We've seen the priming of the pump for gold and silver and Bitcoin. We haven't seen the exodus, right? And that is what's going to be kind of the big impetus for the gold boom, the silver boom, and the Bitcoin boom that we are going to see over the next few years, because people are going to lose faith in a collapsing currency. This is late stage empire things. And remember, the narrative here is still real. The market can remain irrational longer than you can remain solvent. So I don't know if it's going to happen this year or next year or in 5 years, but it is going to happen. You can see the writing on the walls, and we are in the late stages of this movement right now. That is fairly clear to see. So anyways, one of two things. What fundamental side do you want to be on? What fundamental side do you want to be basing your positions on? On the Bitcoin side, you have the knowledge that we are in late stage empire behavior. You have the knowledge of the upcoming currency crisis. You have the knowledge, the historical knowledge, that when individuals lose faith in the sovereign currency, which they have very good reason to, that they will flood into hard assets. Historically, this has been gold and silver. We now have a new opportunity for unconfiscatable money in the form of Bitcoin. So, strong narrative thread that the currency crisis is happening, and this entire movement of the market back to the upside has been a direct result of the Fed printing money. That money has gone into the hands of commercial banks and hedge fund, well, commercial banks largely, which is then loaned small portions of it out, but largely pushed into the asset markets. And what we are seeing right now is distribution from hedge funds and institutional investors distributing all over the faces of retail investors, buying shares of things like Hertz, Boeing, Carnival Airlines, when the market is at recent highs, and that the market is extremely frothy, and SARS-CoV-2 is beginning to spike again all over the nation, and we are going to see another round of lockdowns quite imminently, and that is going to send the markets tumbling down. Therefore, the most logical thing to do would be to probably short the hell out of everything that you can get your hands on, stick your guns to that fundamental position, set in an area where you're clearly wrong, of course. And I think that's a lot better, right? I know a lot of individuals tried to do this, unfortunately, at the bottom of the markets, and it wasn't a great idea for them. Like, they held shorts basically all the way up, and now have just bought back into the market. So if you want a sign that maybe it's time to sell, it's certainly when individuals that tried to sell the bottom are now buying back at the top. Pretty good sign. All right, so that's kind of the negative fundamentals. Positive fundamentals are largely revolving around the idea that the market can remain irrational longer than you can remain solvent. The Fed is still in this process of printing money. We are still, whether you like it or not, whether it makes sense or not, we're in a bull market, and we're going to continue moving to the upside. The SPY is going to keep moving to the upside. Commodities are going to keep moving to the upside. Bitcoin is going to keep moving to the upside. And we're just not there yet, right? We're maybe at the halfway point where we're going to have this kind of collapse of everything, and this everything bubble is going to pop, but we're just not there yet, right? Could take another year, could take another 2 years. In which case, most likely what I would do is wait for that break to the upside. Don't get kind of faked out by trying to take positions inside of a consolidation zone. Wait for that objective signal, the price is breaking to the upside, and then take the trade to the upside. So, but in which case you wouldn't be putting on shorts yet at this level. So, what side history do you want to be on? Which narrative makes more sense? Let me know in the chat, and let me know in the comment section down below if you happen to be watching this video later, because I'm really interested to garner the thread of our community and kind of see where this is. I have an idea that I know largely where you guys are sitting, but yeah. All right, so before we move into today's show, a few announcements, and today's show is going to be relatively brief. I am going to be leaving for vacation tomorrow morning. I'll be gone for 5 days. So I will be gone tomorrow. I will be gone Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. I will be back on Wednesday. So we will resume with our analysis of the markets and breaking everything down and going over the news and having the wonderful, fantastic time that we always do on Wednesday of next week, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. Mark your calendars and hit that subscribe button if you have not already. So, not to fear, there will be lots of content while I'm gone. We've got some fantastic interviews that we've got lined up for you guys for the next few days, for the next 5 days. From San Francisco Blockchain Week and a few other interviews. We've got some amazing interviews scheduled for the future. So we're going to be bringing you guys some content on, kind of across the board, but on cryptocurrency. We're going to be doing some fantastic interviews with some good people in the space. I'll give you guys more details as we get closer to that, but that stuff should be coming out relatively soon. And we're also going to have, of course, Breaking Bitcoin Bits, some good TA, and some other things that are going to be slated. Movie night on Saturday, so make sure Cracking Cryptocurrency citizens gather in the Discord on Saturday night. We always watch an amazing movie. We watched Dread last week. We talk markets, we talk everything. We talk fundamentals, we talk philosophy. So it's a really good time. Make sure to join us in the Discord for movie night. Usually goes down about 9 p.m. Central Standard Time on Saturday evenings. So big shout out to Crypto Jack running that. So that will be going down this weekend. So plenty of stuff to do. I'm sure that our analysts will also be pretty active in the voice chats and in the members lounge and in the general chat as well. And you guys should be as well. So plenty of stuff to talk about. Get in there, throw your chart ideas around, talk about the fundamentals, talk about the declinamentals, and have a good time while I'm gone. If there, I will, because I'm a workaholic, I will be monitoring everything while I'm gone. It's impossible for me to completely unplug, so I won't be completely unplugged. So if I feel the need to update the members of the premium trading group, for example, on anything, or if I feel the need to make an announcement about any particular significant piece of news, fundamentals, or market movement, I will post that to you guys as readily as possible. Most likely will happen on Twitter and in the Cracking Cryptocurrency Discord. Most likely won't have the ability to actually make a video here on YouTube, just with the production quality that I like to maintain. So that stuff's important right there. Good time for you guys to make some requests and give us some ideas for some good content when we return. Other than that, let's progress into the show. I've got a lot that I want to talk about. Let's kind of break down the overall markets, then we'll get into the news. We're going to try to keep today's show pretty brief because I got a lot that I need to wrap up before I actually leave in the morning, and I want to make sure that I can get some good rest this evening. So let us get right into there. Do I get Wi-Fi working on the Wi-Fi everywhere we go, bro? Wi-Fi everywhere we go. All right, so let's take a look broadly at the market this morning as we normally do. Got to refresh just in case something crazy has happened. All right, S&P 500 index basically flat today, as is the NASDAQ and the Dow. We see the DAX roughly flat, down almost 1% though, and the FTSE down a little bit. So overall, not a booming day in the markets. Oil is having a decent day to the upside. Oil up about 2%, crude oil up about 2.8, almost up 3% now. Gold and silver not doing too hot. Currency pairs, we can see the Dixie up almost 0.5%. So the Dixie continues to rise. Looking at futures, we see gold down. We see silver down more significantly on the daily. But crude oil, natural gas, and cotton are up pretty decently. And Bitcoin futures up about 1% on the daily. Looking at crypto spot, though, we do not see that. We do not see spot crypto up, actually at 93.97. So a little bit of divergence there. XRP, Ethereum, Bcash, EOS, LTC down just about 1%. So very, very boring day in the markets. Gives us a fantastic opportunity to kind of position. Bonds are continuing to get hammered. Looking at the 10-year yield is down about 5.32%. And yeah, just down pretty much across the board, except for the UK 10-year yield is actually doing pretty well, up about 20%. Yay for the UKans out there. All right, so let's go to the markets here. And the first thing that we'll do, we're gonna kind of do quite a bit of talking about this just in the interim right now. We talked about this yesterday. We talked about looking at the Breaking Bitcoin system. Everything was pretty much confirming a short, except for Minx crossed to the upside right here, which it still is. Hasn't crossed to the downside and given us that that confirmation signal. I know a few individuals that ended up taking shorts off the daily out of this area, and I'm not really going to fault you guys for that. I really don't think it's not the trade that I took. It's not the position that I would get behind at this point in time. But I mean, it makes sense. A lot of it does make sense. A lot of our momentum and directional indicators are rolling over or have rolled over. Our volume indicators are generally not there, but our volatility filters are starting to pick up a little bit, depending on whether you're using a vol or vol filter. So, again, no long-term swing trades for me yet out of this position. There's still too much uncertainty, still too much compression, still too much consolidation. Essentially, is to repeat myself. But I will let you guys know when this changes, and I will let you guys know when I feel confident to take a swing position, which you guys generally know the day that I do it. Looking at the 4-hour time frame. We did end up kind of closing, and we looked at we were actually in the community mentoring session when this happened yesterday, when we actually closed the 4-hour below that $9,300 level on ByBit, at least, not on Bitstamp, interestingly enough, or on Coinbase. But we ended up putting in another 4-hour downside candle following that, and popped right back up to retest the median of the range, and currently are rejecting from that so far on continually declining volume, and generally declining volume is almost always bearish. But what am I waiting for? I am really waiting for the commitment of the sellers and that large volume bar. That is what I'm looking for, and that is what I think individuals should be looking for as well. 4-hour Minx is going ahead and pointing us to the downside for right now, though. So again, there is some meso time frame. Confirmation for a short trade, but it's slightly contradicted when we get down into the lower time frames here. So let's take a look here on the 4-hour. Actually, let me walk back that statement. And actually, I thought this was different. It is not yet at this point in time. So let's point out something that I talked about yesterday. This is the 45-minute chart, and we can see something relatively interesting here. We can see this very heavy absorption of buy-side flow occurring here and here and here on a relatively high volume. And we do see the same thing over here in the case of this doji FU candle that we just got on the hourly, shaking people out of their positions. Generally bearish, I'm not going to lie. And we are currently trading below today's point of control, which basically ran into the point of control from yesterday and is synonymous with this point of control breakdown zone that we've had for about 3 sessions over here, going all the way back to the 12th of June. So pretty much for the entire last week of this trading. Attempts to break above have so far been unsuccessful, and we are rejecting so far from this resistance zone that we have kind of established right around 94, 94.50, unable to really broach and trade above 9,500 in a significant way. Unfortunately, this is starting to shape up to be a little bit more bearish intraday as well. Main reason why is because we're just unable to trade above that $9,500 area, which makes retests of lower price levels more likely. And looks like we just kind of keep creeping back down to that 9,300, which we did successfully bounce off of. This is actually literally where we were during the community mentoring session, and I had recommended the long. There was a 1 to 2% opportunity there for the scalp. And we are now creeping back down to that $9,300 level, which, if you want to consider 9,500 sort of the resistance to the upside, 9,300 is certainly the support to the downside. Now, we ended up getting faked out on that on the 4-hour. It was pretty clear to take a long there on the 45-minute or the 1 hour. But overall, just not a whole lot of price movement, continued contraction. And one thing that does worry me now at this level is that we're beginning to see a relatively high premium on the BitMEX funding and premium index, indicating that retail is now attempting to buy. And so what is very likely to happen to retail? They are likely to get trounced. Most likely what I see intraday is actually 9,300 being taken out and trying to establish some support down around the $9,100 area. So take that as you guys will. S&P 500 index is not looking too hot. Again, sell-off followed by a rebound, consolidation, and what appears to be price drooping to the downside. So price beginning to look pretty droopy. I know some individuals trade subjectively like that, and they want to begin taking those shorts. Here is that open and close area on the CME futures that we ended up rejecting from so far. We do have, again, our bigger support down at 86.80, but I don't really feel like holding a long down to 86.80. How about you guys? I didn't think so either. All right, here's a little bit more granular. Here's the 5-minute chart, zooming in on those distribution areas, that absorption of buy-side flow at the highs here. followed up again over here, followed up again over here. Moving forward, we had that absorption of sell side flow right here, right off that $9,300 support. This is literally where we were when I recommended the long. We have this nice FU candle, large volume, and what do we see? We see a nice premium on price right now. Now we can see again on as we zoom down to the 5-minute chart here, we do see backwardation being on a price, meaning that individuals starting to sell, but that hasn't really translated over to the hourly yet. But if it does begin to translate over to the hourly and we do see backwardation, then I would revise my opinion and begin to kind of look for upside pressure today. Where I still am positioned is still to the long side. Nothing has changed insofar as that is the case. As far as my actual positions, let's look at, we looked at everything with the Breaking Bitcoin system and zooming down to granular timeframes there. Let's actually look at the Donchian system on the daily. Still not indicating shorts yet at this point in time. Our volume filter is still quite positive, although we are trading below the Donchian on low volume. True Strength Index has crossed to the downside. It's about to actually cross into the centered oscillator section of True Strength Index. And time transformation is crossed up above the signal line now at this point in time. So no shorts. I could see, you would be ignoring your vol filter. But if time transformation were to cross back under, I could see a low risk continuation short, looking for impetus movements out of there. But again, no confirmed long-term swing signals, and that's really because the volume is not there. All right, the volume is really not there. The volume will be there when the volume is there. So overall, just recommending patience. It's pretty easy to look at the chart and start to get a little bearish right now. But again, that's not how I make money, is trading subjectively. I make money by waiting for objective signals and taking those signals per my system. So that's what I will do. So unfortunately, just not a whole lot to report in Bitcoin land. And that's okay. So very similar. Let's look at the rest of our majors here today. Ethereum is still not yet signaling for downside trades. We are trading right around the 26 period Donchian, trading right around the average of highs and lows over here. So no signals coming out of Ethereum yet. We also see this declining volume. Look at the volume moving average, just moving to the downside. Indicators beginning to look a little bit more bearish, but vol filter just not there. Looking at EOS, we are far more bearish than bullish here, but again, no objective signals, just consolidating down near support, basically like everything is doing. XRP consolidating down near support. Ethereum consolidating at previous resistance, looking kind of for a flip of that into support, but no objective continuation long signal and no breakdown signal to the downside. Similar for Bitcoin, just consolidating down near resistance, forming a higher low at this point in time. Let's look at the broader cryptocurrency markets. Very good day for altcoins right now. This is the month. Let's look at the daily. Good day for altcoins, though. As I was saying, HBAR up about 11%. HBAR is something that I do hold. Shout out to HBAR, actually. They tweeted at us this morning. Lend up 16.9%. Blockstacks, another holding of mine, up 14.3%. We've got, what else is doing well today? Siacoin, Icon, and then we've got some relatively smaller coins that I don't really trade, like Celsius and Cheez-It and Status Network Token and Nexo up doing relatively well. So yeah, pretty gosh darn good diddly day for altcoins out there. I know Alex catching some really good trades this morning. Alex correcting me, we are in CHZ. All right, my bad. Nothing that I've traded discretionarily, but sometimes, when you got a good system, that's running, you just you're not even quite sure what you're in. All right, so we are trading Mr. Chili's Cheez-Its. Good stuff. I saw some people talking about a trade that Alex put on. I think that might have been SNM. I think it might have been SNM. But overall, very proud. Really happy, actually. Our portfolio is doing really well. The ability, the decision to kind of diversify pretty heavily in altcoins and play those altcoins has been very profitable for us. And that's overall where the market movements are happening in cryptocurrency. And I think people need to be aware of those and paying attention there. All right. Nothing major coming in on AgriTrade. Looking at tensor charts. Yeah, looking at tensor charts, we are certainly closer to resistance that is beginning to stack up. Starting at 9,400, stretching up to 96. We don't really see our first significant buy side support down till about 91, 93. We're really in a whale battle range right now. So generally not an attractive area that I want to be trading. All right, let's see if there's any news we need to stay alive. All right. Your face has been stolen and will be used against you, my dear Lord. Here's Bancor. We're gonna be talking about that here in just a little bit. Let's see. Sorry. Let's take a look at some traditional TA here before we move into today's news and see if we can get some requests in. Here we are in the weekly time frame on Coinbase, putting in a weekly doji. Overall, pretty boring as price just kind of droops down on a weekly basis over the last 2 weeks. 2 lower weekly lows, 2 lower weekly highs. Not a fantastic sign to see. But overall, still in this red box distribution territory, generally distributing all over retail traders' faces up in this area. Narrative still is very, very simple right now. Breaks of 10,000, 10,200. We've got a pretty good opportunity to accelerate to the upside here as we actually overcome resistance for the first time in, I don't know, since 2017. And breaking down below that 8,600, I think $8,600 would be the first barrier here, but it's really 8,000, 8,200 would be moving us back down to the yellow box territory around $6,000 to $7,000. All right, fairly simple there. And taking a look at some classic TA on BTC USD, we remain below the lower section of the Bollinger Bands, below the median of the Bollinger Bands. We have Bollinger Band support at around 91.91. So about, let's just say $9,200. We are going to be entering right now into the 10 days of reckoning, where I actually did expect that we were going to see resolution out of this area of Bitcoin's price. So let's see what happens. Overall long-term support, horizontal support at 86.27 is the current support of the range. And we have diagonal resistance and horizontal resistance overhead stretching between 10,041, actually about 99.85 if we resolve throughout the course of the next 10 days, and 10,300. So that has good confluence with the volume, with the market profile that we looked at there. So this is pretty clear to see. This is pretty clear to see. And just for context, we'll just zoom out on that quite a little bit there. Let's see here. Alex says, you took your vacation during the 10 days of reckoning. Look, there's a timeshare crisis right now. You know, you got to take the times. You know what I mean? That's... All right, let's see. We got, let me get to the super chats before we get into the news. GBU Professor Wally, thank you for the $5, my friend. He says, would love to see stacks added to the list for later today. We'll take a look at block stacks. And we've got Mr. Magnus coming through with the 50 sec. He says, ICX USDT, pretty please. All right, cool. Let's break those down real quick. All right, let's look at block stack. We'll look at Tether right here. Block stack's actually looking quite healthy in a consolidation area right here, right? We can see this, right? So let's just go break down previous signals that we would have had in the past. See, our volume filter is pretty negative throughout all of here, and we finally turn positive right around here. Good. Turn positive right around here. This is when did it occur? Right there. Yep, on the 16th. This would have been the initial buy signal into block stack. Price appreciated. We get the time transformation exit signal right here. Very good. And unfortunately, TSI is crossed under as of the 5th of June, which is pretty good. Like you can see the overall, we've had very pumpy, fucky behavior on Blockstack. Now, I quite like Blockstack. We are respecting higher lows. We are not yet putting in higher highs. We do have some pretty significant resistance right here, right at about 16. Let's make this pretty objective. Let's get out of here. There we go. Yeah, right around 17 cents. We can see a little bit of failed support here, going back all the way to the post-ICO day. Not really the post-ICO. This is the launch on Binance. Their ICO. They ICO'd for about 30 cents per token. And then resistance, unable to achieve, failure to achieve right here, resistance, 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 right? So you can argue moving that down to kind of the lower 16s. You could argue moving that up to about 17 cents. But certainly kind of hit a wall, right? Kind of hit a wall. So we have this nice period of kind of accumulation and then bid up, and now we are consolidating underneath the resistance. So typically, generally pretty bullish. I would like to see kind of a nice clean break above, let's call it 17 cents, and then take the retest. And that's kind of what I would look for discretionarily. That is also going to give TSI the ability to cross back over here. So, and a couple more green candles, a couple more green days, and I'll feel comfortable that we're actually going to have another wave of appreciation. I feel like if you're entering right now, you are buying at resistance, which is not really the thing to do. So there are other coins that are already putting in their gains right now. Blockstack, I think, is going to have to figure out which way it wants to move out of this consolidation zone. Like I said, it is respecting these higher lows right now, but has not been able to put in higher highs, and just is having a distribution at that 17 cent marks, about 16, little higher 16s right now. So Jason said it really good there. If you're in this trade, kind of take some profit, move your stop loss to break even, and find the next setup. I would want to see a nice clean break of resistance here, and TSI cross back up to feel some good confluence. Other than that, things are looking relatively good. Things are looking pretty good. Things are looking pretty good. But just not a good entry point right here. If we're going to buy this, at a high price, I want to make sure that we are breaking out, and preferably after a retest. ICX, USDT. Let's see. Yeah, ICX looks a little better to me. Unfortunately, we're not making yeah, I mean, we are making higher lows on the daily, and we are making higher highs still. So what sucks about this one is that our other lowest low is all the way down here around 22 cents, 22, 23 cents, and that's going to suck. That's really bad R to R to watch price go down 30% just to confirm. So where are we at? Let's get rid of these drawings. All right, pretty low volume. TSI is crossed under. Time transformation is crossing back up. Volume filter is relatively good. So we're in a bullish market here on Icon. Kind of similar, not as similar to Blockstack. I mean, we can see this distributed behavior right here. And we can see overall that Icon is starting to distribute just a little bit. This is going to be the second retest of support down here. You can see this. You can see this resistance, turn support, led to this last wave. Double tap. This is a nice double top formation. Came back down, tested support again around 30 cents. Breaking 30 cents is not something that I want to see, and I don't really feel like, well, breaking 30 cents would be good to see, and breaking 37 cents would be good to see right now. I don't really want to touch Icon in this range unless you want to range trade it. High to low to high, high to low to high. That's fine. Not really what we do, but that's kind of what's on the table here for Icon. I want to see TSI cross back over, because TSI monitors the longer term trends and keeps us basically out of all the bad potential trades, right? For example, here's a good example right here. So when TSI originally crosses over back here, right here on this candle, excuse me, we get a good end. That's actually an entry candle. We can see time transformation crossing over the very same candle. So you would have entered into this trade and been able to ride this up. Do we get a time transformation exit signal? No, we do not. So your trailing stop loss most likely gets hit right around here. And it keeps you out of this trade, which is good. And then it gets you in. Might have missed that one too. When did it actually cross? Yeah. Didn't confirm. So you did miss out on this leg right here of icon, unfortunately. Let's see here. But you did catch maybe this. Not a lot of profit potential there. You kind of run right into resistance. But maybe you made some profit. Maybe you hit TP1 there. There's basically been like one good trade, basically from here to here on icon. And this was kind of the one trade that we missed here, this movement right here, which is a pretty juicy movement. You entered anywhere around here, about a 30% movement. So let's see here. Here to here, caught a 40% movement, missed a 30% movement. Kind of waiting for that next big movement. There is certainly a range here to trade on icon. About a 20% range. A little less than that, about 18%. I don't really like range trading altcoins. So yeah, I would like to see TSI go up, which would most likely occur if we break resistance here at about 36 cents. So no sell signal yet. Icon never got overbought. So you're good to hodl right now. You could run this with a trailing stop. Or if we close, I would be out of this because we closed below my baseline. Closed below my baseline right here. We are crossing back up right now, but no entry sign. No entry sign. I don't really have a strong opinion on icon, Mr. Magnus. I know you've been holding this one for a while. I think you're good to hold it in this range until this range resolves, because at least in this range, you've got a good opportunity at the very least to sell closer to resistance right around here, around 35 to 36 cents, rather than sell at the median of the range, 33 cents. So that's a possibility, and then you can kind of wait for the reentry if you want. That's what I do. I don't have a strong opinion about this one right now. All right. It's already 12:42. All right, so let's go into let's hop into today's news, guys, with the cryptocurrency segment. Let's go. All right, guys. So, brief news nuggets. Bitcoin experienced its largest difficulty in absolute numbers this week. So up 14.9%, largest difficulty adjustment that we've ever seen. Good speculation on this. You know, you got to think. This is miners upgrading their systems. It's unlikely that miners would invest into their operations unless they were expecting that the number was going to go up, unless they felt the price was going to go up. And as we've been talking about, right, one bullish fundamental is the fact that the outflow from miners to exchanges is at a significant low, is at a very, very long-term low. So miners are not dumping excess Bitcoin in mass. And miners that are mining, like larger mining operations, are hodling their Bitcoin. So miners that are mining profitably are hodling, and unprofitable miners have run out or are basically out of Bitcoin to dump, excess Bitcoin to dump on the markets. Alistair Milne just did this little social experiment, kind of technological experiment, where he was drip feeding seed phrase words onto Twitter, and he released 8 of them, following the releasement of 8 seed phrase words or hints It took an attacker 44 hours to brute force into a wallet to guess the seed phrase. So a wallet with 1 Bitcoin was just brute forced, but don't worry, its owner wanted it that way. So this was a giveaway / puzzle that he organized. More than a clever giveaway, this puzzle is also a technical experiment in how quickly an attacker can derive a 12-word seed if they have over half of its words. So, it would take, according to some estimates, billions of years to crack these phrases without knowing any of the words or letters in the mnemonic. But every word and hint that Milne published in this scenario, the seed became easier to crack. So, just a little word of warning here. If you don't reveal, if you practice good OPSEC, if you practice good seed phrase storage, I recommend a crypto tag. Find out more about them with our crypto tag video. And a ledger. That's the best way to do it. That's how I do it. Very, very hard. Well, let's just say impossible to get your seed phrase cracked. However, don't leave that thing laying around on paper. Don't leave that thing laying around on paper. All right, major crypto debit card issuer reportedly missing $2.1 billion in cash. A German fintech company responsible for several crypto debit cards, including Crypto.com's, allegedly misrepresented over $2 billion in cash reserves. This is Wirecard. They issue Crypto.com's debit card. Their employees appear to have defrauded the company to the tune of about $2.1 billion in cash, about 1.9 billion euros. According to a statement from the company, a trustee of Wirecard's bank accounts attempted to deceive the auditor and falsely indicate the existence of the cash balance. Company's stock price plummeted by almost 50% on Thursday after the issue came to light. So, if you were looking for the opportunity to buy the MCO dip, wait a couple weeks. Let this one progress. Let this one progress. All right. While it is unlikely the user funds are directly threatened, the hole in the reserves could result in service disruptions on cards issued by Wirecard. Wirecard also issues debit cards for WireX, 10X, and CryptoPay. So I would expect to see MCO's price go down just a little bit here. All right. No, thank you, Crypto Daily or the block. DEX protocol Bancor suffered security vulnerability, migrated $455,000 worth of user funds. So a vulnerability was exposed in Bancor's decentralized protocol right now. They suffered a security vulnerability yesterday, and that did put $455,000 worth of user funds at risk. But they did fix the issue. There was a bug in one of their newest smart contracts. This could have resulted in the loss of all of their user funds, but as I said, they were, as this article goes on to talk about, they were able to mitigate this attack and prevent the loss of user funds. Let's see here. Specifically, there was a bug in Bancor's latest smart contract, which were deployed 2 days ago. Therefore, all users who interacted with the exchange protocol in the last 48 hours were affected. And they initiated a white hat attack and migrated the funds to a safe wallet. This is not the first time Bancor has been hacked. In 2018, it was hacked and lost $13.5 million worth of funds. Oh boy. But DeFi is still extremely popular. All right. So our main story of today. Bitcoin has had its share of trouble over the years. Of course, it has faced some significant pushback from regulators and authorities alike. Its reputation has had to carry baggage like the association with the dark web, WikiLeaks, extortion, from hackers and malware exploits. But Bitcoin and crypto in general is maturing, and it seems to be shedding some of the stigma that's been attached to it for years. But one person that it apparently has not won over is the United States President Donald Trump, who apparently has a major bone to pick with Bitcoin, going as far as telling the Treasury Secretary to look into, quote, shutting it down, end quote. So according to leaked reports from a soon-to-be-published book written by a former NSA advisor who served in the Trump administration, the president went as far as ordering the Treasury Secretary to go after Bitcoin. Like, go take the Bitcoin store down. Go take it down. The book is titled The Room Where It Happened. It's written by former NSA John Bolton. Bolton, who is a pretty staunch war hawk from the Bush era. He exited the administration after falling out with President Trump. So the notion of Trump probing his administration for opportunities to curb the rising popularity of Bitcoin shouldn't come as a surprise to most, seeing he has expressed his disdain for Bitcoin going back to July of 2019 when he tweeted this famous "I'm not a fan of Bitcoin" statement, letting the world know that he doesn't want Bitcoin to feel welcome, citing all the usual critiques that it's used for illegal activity. I didn't buy any when it was cheap, therefore I don't like it. Of course, it's understandable how the billionaire New Yorker, who later became the leader of the free world currently, would want to do something to address the fintech gambit that is cryptocurrency, right? Cryptocurrency is a new and uncontrolled financial system that just happens to threaten the United States dollar's global hegemony at a time when it is already on the ropes. Trump, of course, is of the belief that the United States dollar will and should always be the dominant currency in the world. Kind of missing out on his history there. So any notion of an unregulated global alternative arriving to challenge the status quo of the American dollar on the world stage would naturally be seen as an existential threat. Therefore, it comes as no surprise Trump may have floated the idea of a Bitcoin crackdown inside his administration. Trump is also famous for his Twitter-based tirades, of course. He just launched into a new one over the allegations presented in John Bolton's new book, describing it as, quote, full of lies and fake stories. He talks about a snake somewhere in here. Apparently, the Department of Justice is also objecting to the contents of the new book, and it's recently filed an injunction in order to stop the publication and distribution of Bolton's new book. I think book sales are going to be quite good. Maybe we can get it leaked on the dark web. According to the Washington Examiner, who previewing the contents, Trump, so the excerpt from the book, apparently what it was, Trump told Mnuchin, don't be a trade negotiator, at a time when the United States was engaging in a bitter trade and currency war with our chief rival, China. Indeed, it's alleged that Trump told Mnuchin to go after Bitcoin for fraud back in May 2018, suggesting the administration's standoffish approach to crypto may have come as an order from the very top. Industry commentators have long since suspected that since at least 2017, the actions of some United States regulators were purposely crafted and timed to target the cryptocurrency space and obstruct innovation and adoption in cryptocurrency. Back in 2017, Trustnodes ran this article titled "No ETF, No ICO. Is the SEC Ideologically Motivated Against Blockchain Innovation?" And this explored why regulators took a very militant stance on the crypto industry in the early days of the Trump administration. And at the time, speculation was that Jay Clayton, who's the chair of the SEC, was the one calling the shots and bringing the hammer down on the cryptocurrency space. Now it would appear it was in fact Trump himself who put pressure on Mnuchin to pour cold water on a booming new industry, going as far as calling on the Treasury Secretary to set up some sort of financial council to look into crypto, but nothing apparently actually came of that. So when Trump called out Bitcoin back in July of 2019 in that now infamous tweet, many thought it had more to do with addressing Facebook's Libra and shoring up support for the United States dollar. When he wrote that, quote, "We have only one real currency in the United States." Let's actually go find this, right? We have only one real currency in the USA. It's stronger than ever. That's the United States dollar, stronger than ever. It's both dependable and reliable. It is by far the most dominant currency anywhere in the world, and it will always stay that way. It is called the United States dollar, end quote. But now, after what's been revealed in Bolton's book, potentially, little doubt seems to remain that the current U.S. administration has a detrimental policy towards what may be the most innovative technology since internet communication began. Now, whether or not this will be a major political issue to fight over during this election cycle remains to be seen. Most likely not. I doubt we're going to be seeing Bitcoin on the news with regards to the election cycle. While crypto is maybe largely symbolic in regards to freedom and liberty, most politicians merely pay lip service to these concepts, as we've seen so far, right? Now, potential candidates, some that have risen to popularity might have been counted on to raise the issue and challenge, I guess, the administration over this stifling of fintech innovation. Seeing as Joe Biden is the Democratic nominee, it seems to be almost assuredly that Bitcoin will not be something that these two will be debating when they go head to head later this year. Now, crypto happens to be an apolitical global industry, regardless of the fact that many individuals, as I said, I believe I was talking about this yesterday, even though Bitcoin is one of those things that people try to stuff into whatever political motivational box that they try to argue from, and they use Bitcoin and the ethos of the blockchain or the ethos of decentralization to kind of justify their own political motivations, which I don't think is a good thing. Bitcoin is Bitcoin. It is what it is. It's apolitical, right? And it's created a lot of jobs. It's created a lot of innovation. The entire blockchain space has created a lot of innovation. Despite this, it still manages to ruffle the feathers of the existing power structure. And that likely means that we won't be welcomed into the fold until prevailing sentiment on at least Capitol Hill changes in due time. Which makes a lot of sense. So, if you guys were wondering, like, are they against Bitcoin? Well, the answer is yes. Yes, they're against Bitcoin. And I don't think it could be any other way. I think I applaud and I look forward to companies and individuals that attempt to present the facts and give Bitcoin a better name, and that's absolutely important. But at the end of the day, it is something that I would say it is something that I think that a majority of those who use it want to see replace the dollar. But I think, maybe with a slight change in perception, we could have a little bit of an easier uphill battle. It's an uphill battle, but we could have an easier uphill battle, right? Maybe we could get a rope, right? And we could actually start climbing instead of just like having water poured down this uphill battle. Which is, I think, I'm just going to directly quote the epic rap battle of history between Alexander Hamilton and Satoshi Nakamoto, right? Which is, Bitcoin doesn't have to be this massive threat to the existing power structure, right? There's, over 100 currencies, right? 150 currencies, right? Bitcoin makes 151. Like, why all the hate? Right? Why all the hate? It's just an option. It's an alternative. Give people the choice. Give people the freedom to choose the currency that they want to hold their value in. But, sovereigns have a history of not liking that. So let me know you guys' thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. I'm looking forward to some good comments on this one. All right, so let's get back into the chat. Let's see what's going on with Bitcoin. And let us see if there's any questions that remain unanswered. Let me think about this one for a second. Damian Hughes had asked, what do I think about China ramping up sales of their U.S. Treasury holdings? I don't really have a strong opinion about that. I've seen some, what was it? I think this was like 3 days. Some news came out on this and I read it. I didn't really like the statistics. I would like to see, so if I wanted to get some corroborative evidence from it, it would certainly not be someone you could almost consider what has now become our economic and political enemies now, which would be China, doing with regards to our treasury holdings. I feel like ultimately that story will end negatively. I feel that culmination will end negatively. And I would like to see some similar impetus from other countries as well. Yeah, but I don't have a lot of opinions on that. Where is the news about? Yeah, the Robinhood event. Yeah, I made the editorial decision not to cover that. We need some good news around here. T-Dub says, Justin, at what age did I start trading? I did a little bit of stock trading when I was in college. When I started in college, I started and I actually, so that's not actually quite true. Not my first time. I mean, I graduated from high school young, and I started college young, and then I left college. I didn't finish college the first time I went, and I went out and sowed my wild oats, and then I came back to college when I was 19. I was 19 when I started college for the second time, and then I completed. That's when I started trading. That's when I opened up my first broker account and traded with stocks a little bit. But it wasn't until I was probably 22. Yeah, I was about 22 when I actually started trading more seriously. It took me about 3 years to become pretty competent. I'm not gonna lie, right? I was a slow learner. Jay Constant, good to see you, my friend. Challenged Investor says, if Biden were asked about Bitcoin, he might think it's his own name. Yeah, GBU Wally has a good point. If the dollar is so weak, it can be toppled by an open blockchain, then maybe it should be toppled. Well, yeah, Zodiac World, that's a good question. I've talked about this quite a bit before. My first account, so like when I started trading, I blew out 2 accounts, and my third account, I lost almost all the money, and then that's kind of when I decided to make a change. So in total, I lost about $40,000, right? Because I remember my first trading account that I blew out. I was trading stocks. I lost $5,000. My first account was $5,000. And then the second time that I traded, I sat down and I started trading FOREX and a few stocks, but mostly FOREX. And this was, I was 24. I had to have been 24. And I had saved up pretty much all year because in college I started my own. I founded my own company in college when I was going to college for entrepreneurial and diversified agriculture, and I started a company called Wise Choice Organics, and we did a little bit of sustainable construction, and I did some consultation, but mostly what we did was organic agriculture, urban agriculture, and so we grew a lot of tomatoes, peppers, onions. And we had a broker at the Des Moines Farmers Market here in Iowa, and we sold to a few restaurants and places like that. And that was pretty good. And I had saved up $30,000 that first year, and I put that into the market, and I lost all that money in about 6 months. So my risk management was really terrible, and I just wasn't a good trader. Right? I think that's why, it's interesting because I think that's honestly why. I'm good at teaching people how to trade, is because it wasn't something that I naturally came to and was talented at, right? I bashed my head against a wall for years to learn how to trade, right? For about 3 years. It took me about 3 years to learn. And then my third account, I sat down and I almost lost. I put $5,000 in again. And I almost lost it all. And that's when I stopped. I got some mentoring. And I sat down and I started trading a completely different way. So I stopped trading with price action. I stopped trying to trade reversals. I sat down. I spent a long time. I did a lot of back testing. That's when I got into back testing. And I just started studying indicators. That's when I kind of. It's not when I kind of. I mean that all that work eventually led to PTP, right? What became Pathways to Profits. There was a lot of dips and dabs along there. A lot of ways that the way that I've traded has changed, but. I stopped trading lower time frames. Then, after about 2 years of that, I traded FOREX again on the lower time frames, in a professional manner. And I actually did a lot better that way, right? Where I did use some price action, but I was able to filter my trades based on higher time frame trends and indicator signals. But that just became tiresome and I didn't want to do that anymore. So I just went back to trading my own money. Yeah, I didn't get real serious until I got my chair upgraded. Now I'm a professional. All right, guys. With that being said, it is 1 o'clock. I love you guys, but I gotta go. So, hey guys, thank you for joining me for another episode of Breaking Bitcoin Market Update. Sorry to leave you guys on such short notice. Not short notice. I told you guys at the very beginning of the stream it was going to be a short show. But there's a lot that I got to take care of for the premium members and some work that I want to finish up before I leave for vacation. So. It's been a fantastic week, guys. Please rewatch the video if you are confused about any of the technical analysis. If you guys have questions or would like some guidance, make sure to hop in our free Discord, discord.crackingcryptocurrency.com. We love to talk to markets. Just always there, always down to hang out. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, sarcastic remarks, or death threats, drop them in the comment section down below while I actually pull open the D Live so I can distribute these lemons. Buttons hit. We will be back. On Wednesday. Woo, big gap. It's Thursday. We'll be back on Wednesday of next week for another episode of Breaking Bitcoin Market Update. But no fear, there will be some great content that we're going to be uploading every single day. So make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that bell icon. And if you like the content, make sure to smash that like. It helps out more than you guys could possibly know. Helps us get our algo hustle out there. All right, distributing lemons and Boom Midwest attempts Rhino, DePie Guy, Squeaky Tadpole, and Dark Rico. Thank you guys for all the support and love. If you guys want to begin building your own objective indicator-based strategy, make sure to sign up for the group at premium.crackingcryptocurrency.com. You can also take advantage of our premium indicator suite and our premium signal service, as well as community and one-on-one mentoring. And we always add more stuff. So never been a better time to join. Get in there, quit following crypto Twitter, and begin building your own strategy, guys. I will be back on Wednesday, like I said. Trade safely. Have a fantastic weekend, everybody. Be awesome to one another. Take a walk underneath the stars. Get some vitamin D in your system. Reports show that vitamin D does help reduce. Anyways, we're not going to get into that. I will see you guys on Wednesday. Have a fantastic weekend. Trade safely. We're all in this together. Cheers, guys.